All right. I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 clips. We're gonna start here with
the crystal dots.
Crystal dots. Make a cool transition. Woof. What a transition. All right. So these are all sent in by these members. Obviously, a lot of this happened during the shutdown. So I reached out to a few of them. We put out on the Facebook group. We got some Facebook messages. We're gonna do this regularly. We're gonna do this often. And that's all, folks. And we're gonna do this often because we wanna one, benefit these members that took the time to send in their clips and trust us with harassing them on the internet. But at the same time, well, I don't know. That's really what we want to do. We want to just benefit them. So we're going to look at Crystal here.
Roll tape.
I can control this a little bit. Maybe. I don't know what I just did. I pressed spacebar.
Sweet. All right. We'll roll this a couple times. So we just got a power clean here. If you just want to keep playing it, I'll kind of break it down. So, boom.
We can go slow. You want to go slow?
Oh, we can go slow? Yeah, we can go slow. So one thing that I really like in the setup, if you just pause it right before she lifts off, is you can look at her back. It is very engaged. She's super protecting her spine. She's got good abdominal pressure. She's locked in. One thing, and this becomes readily apparent as she pulls the bar, her hips are slightly high. I would bring them down like an inch or two, and that's going to make for a better lift off the ground, that first pull. It's also going to set her up a little bit better later on. So as we play this, you'll notice her hips kick up a little faster than her shoulders. And so here, if you pause it there, she's very far over that bar, and her back is almost horizontal, right? Up until this point, we want those hips to still be a little bit lower. And I think if she started a little bit lower, that would help with it, be a little bit smoother off the ground. Go ahead and play through that again, or just from there. Boom. And then hit it one more time. She's got the hips high. She pops up. The other thing, and this is just because her shoulders are so far away from the bar, she's not able to get it to impact the quads as hard as she could. It kind of just glides up. And then she has a very vertical last drive. She comes up. I would like to see a little bit more, almost a backwards motion. Not much more.
It gets a little better right there, right?
That's true. Yeah. The very tail finish for sure. And then as she pulls under,
nice high elbows.
She starts to come straight down, and you'll notice her hips are like right on top of her heels, and her knees in this angle, they look almost too far forward. I'd like to see, especially if she could get her shoulders back behind on that triple extension, she'd be able to whip underneath and get more almost into a quarter squat, which is going to be a lot more stable for her to come out of. So overall, super good lift. She protects what she needs to protect during the whole thing, which is kind of nice. But I think, honestly, all of those things would be fixed if she just started with her hips a little bit lower.
Crystal, you're amazing.
Champion.
Let's see. While we're on it.
Oh, hey, look at that. Is that Crystal Dodds again?
Let's say Crystal Dodds again.
Back to back. We also get some gymnastics in this one, too.
Oh, yeah. It's a little bit of a long one. We're going for some... Is this the one?
This is the DT one. So she's deadlifting and cleaning, and then
let's watch it through once, and then we'll go through it slow.
That sounds good. Boom. So we got some deadlifts here. One thing you can kind of see is that it's kind of scrambly. So again, you can see her back, just like the other one, is very protected, which is awesome. But there's a lot of forward and backwards motion on the bar. And again, those hips kick up a little bit faster than I'd like. So
is arms crossed a standard male position that we just can't help?
Oh, it's true. It's just a side effect of mansplanation, and I just am gonna guess that there was maybe a little bit after this interval. I could be wrong.
They're cheering.
Yeah,
they're cheering.
They're totally.
All right, moving on.
So now we got into these power cleans, and this is where, because she's doing the hang cleans, I like her hip angle, and she's smooth. It's the right weight for her. One thing, can you go back?
Oh yeah, you want to go back?
Sorry, yeah, let's just hit it. When she goes into position 2, she looks up almost, and she like rears her neck, her cervical spine way back, and that kind of also gives that like
Right here.
reckless motion to it. It doesn't look as smooth as I'd like it to be, and I think it is that like looking up for a lot of it. As she goes to her catch, good triple extension. Elbows come through really well on that one. It's not as consistent on the next few, but she does have fast elbows on that very first one. Now, you can see as she brings the bar down, it almost looks like a kettlebell swing.
Right there, it yanks.
Right there, yeah. And she goes, so you can see again, her shoulders are way over that bar. And I would like it to be just a little bit more on top. That's going to make that cycle speed a little bit faster and not as like taxing on the core.
What tangibly can she do to make that happen? Does she need to just get the hips a little lower? Does she need to bend the knees a little bit?
So one of the things I would do, so she's catching in position 2, that's like the top of the knee position, is I would practice bringing it down at a lighter weight, bring it to position 1, and get used to cycling out of position 1, which is essentially like for just below the hip pocket, and get used to that because that's going to force you into an upright position, and then slowly bring it down. One of the nice things is if you can have a couple different gears in your system for cycling. So if I have a certain weight, I'm going to pop it off my hips. If it's a slightly heavier weight, maybe I pop it off the mid thigh. If it's a real heavy weight, I might go all the way down to position 2 and then pass back through position 1. And if you can do that on command, you'll have a little bit more control. But I think for her, if she started at position 1, which is going to give her that upright torso, and then slowly brought it down, she'd find some benefit there.
Okay, let's jump over to some toes to bar.
Toes to bar. Also, quick shout out, pause that stuff. Dalton got some toes to bar, Kissinger, so just shout out to that. That's super awesome. Toes to bar are really, really challenging, and it's cool to see her.
We've had a lot of big moments. I don't mean to leave anybody out, but I'm trying to think. Sarah got a bar muscle up.
Yeah, she did.
God, we're gonna leave somebody out. I'm trying to think what else.
One of the things, and just a shout out to Sarah Hinton, is her strict strength is awesome, and she does take that really seriously, and so that makes it really, really easy, or not easy, but it makes it a lot easier to be prepared to do bar muscle ups. Then it's just putting the pieces together. If your technique is on point, but you can't yet do a strict pull up, or you struggle with the strict strength there, it's always going to be a really frustrating experience. So Hinton works really, really hard on the strict gymnastics, and that definitely is starting to play off for sure. Yeah,
we've had some awesome gymnastics days the last couple weeks also, where it's like we just had that bar muscle up variation day where it was just whatever works for you, practice it, and those are awesome. I think those are very helpful. Let's see. I believe this was over 3 or 4 months ago.
Yep.
So mind you, a lot of these things have probably changed in these people's lives since then, but
also, quick shout out, we did toes to bar, and her toes to bar were awesome last week. So we'll hit this, but Crystal, please don't think that I still think this about your toes to bar. They were really good on Monday last week, Tuesday. All right, cool. So big thing with toes to bar is, and you can see this in the knee raise, and then you can see where it's missing in the toes to bar. And so she's got an awesome drill where she's switching off between a toes to bar and a knee raise, a toes to bar and a knee raise, which works really well. And so can you actually go back a split second and pause
at the top
with the knee raise? Yeah. Cool. So here, if we can use the wood planks as the reference point, her hips and her shoulders are behind the planks, right? They're behind the pull-up bar. And that's allowing her space, and it's also closing that gap for her knees to get really, really, really high. When she goes to the toes to bar, which we'll go to in a second, you'll notice that her hips are more on the plane of the plank or almost out in front, and that's going to affect her kip rhythm that this drill kind of helps close off, or she can get around. But she comes up, and boom. And the big thing is here. You can, can you go back 2 frames? So keep going, sorry. There we go. So as she's kicking back, her hips are traveling in the right direction, But as she goes closer to the bar, her hips start to swing forward. So they're going back. And then right at the end, now they come forward.
Oh, yeah.
And that means that as she's coming down forward too fast. And that's going to throw off her next rep. Now, she's just got a knee raise on the next rep, so she can compensate for that. But she's got to put a lot of effort into it, and you can see that in how far back her shoulders go. But she almost swings forward with her hips on the toes to bar. If she was able to keep that same aggression that she had in the knee raise and keep her hips a little bit farther back for a little bit longer, she'd be able to rock out the toes to bar more efficiently. So... other note on the back side of the kip, if you can just get her in her arch real quick. I think on her first one, it was probably the first or second one. Any of those will work. Boom. Okay, cool. Right there. So if you can follow the line from her hand to her shoulder to her hip, it's a pretty clean arch. But then once you go from her hip to her knee, the curvature gets a little bit more extreme. And now you have the knee angle, which is now it's not a curve at all. It's just a bend in the knee, right? And so she's putting a lot of effort into it. You can see from her lovely face that she is trying really, really hard. But that energy isn't necessarily going in the direction that she's going to want it to go. She's going to have to straighten her knee and kick it, which is going to throw off her rhythm. So one thing that I would like to see out of this is instead of kicking back towards the back wall, if she were to kick down towards that ab mat or just behind, make a nice clean arch from hand to shoulder to hip to knee to the heel or the toe, she's going to have a lot better time staying efficient for that second, third, fourth rep.
Beautiful. Let her rock them out for a second.
And that definitely is playing into those hips coming forward as far as the backswing affecting it. And you can even see the difference. It's almost in like a mind game. For when she's doing the knee raise, the kip is a lot better on the backside. When she goes to gear up for the toes to bar, she's trying to put more effort into it, and it's kind of getting in the way. So, but.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Sweet. Moving on.
Let's jump. Let's see who's next. Let's keep with the gymnastics theme while we're at it here.
I like it.
Let me make sure I get the bar on screen here. All right, only 8 seconds. Let's roll through it, and then we'll break her down in a second. Oh, much better, cameraman.
Did you film that?
No.
Oh. It was probably, I mean, I guess it was Daryl.
Daryl.
All right, so Tara just got her first kipping pull-ups. She's been working really, really hard towards a strict. I'd say she's probably 3 weeks away from getting her first strict, which is going to be awesome. So you can see that the strength that she has is really helping her out and finish this rep. Now the efficiency or the fluidity of the kip is where we can see some improvement. But can you go and pause at the top of the rep? Go back like a frame. So you can see from this that she is owning this top position. She's worked really hard on holding at the top of the bar, and she is completely comfortable here, which is a game changer for trying to get either a strict or a kipping pull-up, both. But toes are pointed, knees are together, she's squeezing her legs, she's keeping tension, and you can see in just her shoulders, she's owning it, right? As she comes through, she pushes away, which is awesome here. She arcs in. Feet stay together for a really long time, which is awesome. And then, boom, pause there. Now, it's hard to tell from this angle, but you can kind of see from what her feet are doing. Her feet don't come that far apart, so not a big deal. But she's at a really big arch, especially from the hips down through the toes. So one, that might end up in some lower back discomfort. That's just a really big extension to be for the spine. But two, it's going to throw off her rhythm on the next rep. And so this big arch thing, which you saw in the last video as well, is going to affect the rhythm. So she comes up. Now she's going to have to fight for the top of the rep. I believe it's on this one. She comes up. I could be totally wrong.
Yep. So right here it comes up a little shallow, and then it kind of ruins the momentum again by making the extra pull here.
Yeah, and you can see she's like, now she's reaching. So in the last one, her chin was very much a part of the bar or above the bar, and now it's like just barely getting it. So play again. Play through.
So the feet come a lot farther apart here.
Yeah, now you can start to see, and the arch is even bigger.
Oh, I probably should have paid more attention. We're not really seeing the feet on.
For any of it?
No, we are a little bit. But I'm gonna raise her on up a little bit. Just believe us that her feet were slightly apart. And this one, we've gotten a little lower once again, but we're getting fatigued too.
True story. This is the one. Okay, go back to the arch for this one, or actually to the end of the last rep if you can. So one big thing with kipping is rhythm and consistency, okay? So if we're not rhythmic with our motion, eventually it's going to get thrown off. Toes to bar is probably where you're going to see that or feel that the most. Something just feels goofy about it. So she comes up, she doesn't push away as hard, and so she almost comes straight down, and then she forces herself into this big arch motion.
Oh, back earlier.
Yeah.
We're going backwards right now.
We're going backwards. We
so
are.
Here she's gonna push away, but it's almost a drop down here. You can see it. Whoop.
Yep. So she drops straight down. That's a good clip there, and then she reaches her feet back to create this artificial arch. And now she comes up, and she's got to use that strict strength, which is great. It can kind of pull her. She's gonna just finish this. She just toughs it out there. So pause it there. And now, so that's the part where if you have the strict strength, you're just going to be well far above anybody else that doesn't have that to be able to compensate for any loss of technique. It doesn't necessarily play out the other way. If you don't have the strict strength there, the technique is only going to get you so far.
What is your opinion though on this in class? I mean, I know this is a split second that we're really breaking down. This whole clip's only 8 seconds, but is it worth the extra little pull to get your chin above that bar in the grand scheme of class, or is it worth just keeping that momentum going and not making that point there? That's also a lot of tension.
Right. It depends. So it's also having like a backup plan. So one thing that, and this is the last suggestion I would make on hers, is once you use that strict strength, you've got to fix the mistake that led to it. And so she needs to, well, she does at her last rep, but if she were to sit there and finish the rep and then really push away from the bar at the top, it would set her up for what would have been the next rep a little bit better. So in class, it kind of just depends. So like, let's say it's your first or second rep of a set and you're squeaking through, that's totally fine. But eventually that strength is going to give out towards the end of the workout. So having something like a 2-1-2 drill where you're doing 2 kips, 1 pull up, 2 kips, 1 pull up, is going to allow you to still find consistency and work on that kip consistency throughout the workout versus just popping up and doing a single and doing a single and doing a single. And something we've been talking about in class is like if you're starting out, let's say there's 30 pull-ups and you're on rep 27 of 30 and you need to do a single, not a big deal, right? Finish the workout. But if you're on rep 5 of 30 and you're doing singles, we got to have something else. Maybe you can do the 30 singles, but like that's not going to play into your future development as an athlete. Being able to dial back to like a 2-1-2 drill and doing like 5 or 6 of those, you're going to get better pull-ups in, and then you're also going to probably fix the problem that's causing you to need to do singles anyway, because a lot of that is not being able to hold onto the bar for so long. And if you're doing singles, you're not training holding onto the bar, you're training what you already know you can do.
That's been a big thing that we've been talking about in any discovery one-on-one sessions when you're a new member, is that it's always more important to work within yourself than it is to, I'm not talking about tear it all right now, than it is to just try to complete the movement, because like you said, 2-on-2 drill is going to get you way more volume and actual movement practice in, and a better workout in the end of it anyways.
And we'll segue on that here in a little bit.